Beneath the surface of your thoughts lies another mind, a silent architecture, older than language, older than history, older even than the idea of the self. Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious, a realm of images, symbols, and patterns that do not belong to any one individual but are shared by every human being who has ever lived. You might think your dreams belong only to you, but when you step into them, you are walking through a labyrinth built by countless generations before you. It is the mind we all share, and whether you realize it or not, it shapes everything you feel, and everything you hope to become. The first glimpse of this shared mind usually comes in dreams. You dream of falling, endlessly, and wake in terror. 1,000 miles away, another person, speaking another language, living in another culture, dreams the same fall. You dream of being chased by a faceless figure, and in another century, someone else wrote about the same faceless pursuer. These patterns repeat because they are not inventions of your personal imagination. They are archetypes, primordial images etched into the human psyche, passed down like invisible DNA. The dream is personal in detail but universal in structure. You are walking through your own story, but the walls of that story were built by humanity itself. Symbols are the language of this hidden realm. You may dream of a door that will not open, a serpent that circles endlessly, a shadow that follows you no matter how fast you run. Another dreamer in another time will encounter the same. Doors are thresholds, serpents are cycles of death and rebirth, shadows are the denied parts of the self. You never had to learn these meanings, you felt them the moment you saw them. That is the power of archetypes. They bypass logic and speak directly to something older, deeper, and more instinctual inside you. This is why myths across the world tell the same stories in different masks. The Greek hero slays a monster, the Norse warrior faces Ragnarok, the Mayan twins descend into the underworld. None of these cultures copied one another, yet their stories converge. Why? Because they all drew from the same source, the collective unconscious. The monster is chaos, the hero is order, the underworld is death, and every human being must face these realities. The myths survive because they are more than stories. They are mirrors of the deep structures of the psyche. But the collective unconscious is not only the source of myth and dream, it is also the source of our darkest impulses. When societies erupt in violence, when hatred spreads like fire, when entire nations fall under the spell of destructive ideologies, what you are seeing is the eruption of the collective shadow. Archetypes are neutral forces, they demand expression, whether creative or destructive. The same hero that inspires courage can become the tyrant. The same nurturing mother can become the devourer. The shadow you ignore in yourself becomes the shadow expressed collectively, swallowing entire generations. History is littered with these eruptions, and they remind us that the collective unconscious is not a gentle place. It is a power that can heal or destroy. Dreams are where you meet these forces on a smaller, more intimate scale. When the collective unconscious stirs inside you, it does not speak in sentences, it speaks in images, riddles, and symbols. Jung believed that every dream is a message, though often disguised. A stranger in your dream may be the anima or animus, the inner opposite that completes you. A monster may be your shadow, the repressed anger, envy, or fear you refuse to admit. A labyrinth may be your current life situation, a path so confusing you cannot see the way out. These images are not random, they are the grammar of the psyche, urging you to grow, to integrate, to become whole. The shadow is perhaps the most terrifying of these archetypes, and also the most important. Everyone carries one. It is everything you refuse to see in yourself: rage, weakness, greed, cowardice. You think by denying it you are free, but the shadow always returns. In dreams it takes shape as the pursuer, the monster, the faceless figure. You run, but it follows. You fight, but it grows stronger. Books will tell you to conquer or banish the shadow, but the truth is more difficult. The shadow must be faced, acknowledged, integrated. When you accept your flaws, you stop being controlled by them. The shadow becomes an ally, a source of strength. What terrified you most becomes what makes you whole. Then there are the figures of the anima and animus, the feminine side of the male psyche, the masculine side of the female. In dreams they appear as strangers who seduce or guide, figures who feel both familiar and mysterious. They are not fantasies of desire. They are bridges, leading you to the opposite within yourself. If ignored, they control you through projection, making you seek endlessly in others what you lack inside. If embraced, they complete you. A man who accepts his anima gains sensitivity and imagination. A woman who accepts her animus gains strength and vision. Every dream of a mysterious lover is a reminder: you are incomplete, and the other half lives inside you. Symbols carry their power because they bypass rational thought. You don't need to be told that light breaking through darkness feels hopeful, or that a labyrinth feels suffocating. You feel it instantly. That is the language of the collective unconscious. It communicates in symbols that resonate in the body before they are understood by the mind. This is why art and myth move us so deeply. They are not entertainment. They are echoes of the shared mind, reminders of the story every human being is living. But what is most unsettling is how little control we have over this realm. You do not choose the symbols that appear in your dreams. You do not choose the myths that resonate with you. They rise from below, from the collective, demanding attention. If you ignore them, they return in distorted form, nightmares, compulsions, obsessions. If you face them, they guide you. The choice is not whether the collective unconscious influences you. The choice is whether you will engage with it consciously or allow it to shape you blindly. Throughout history, shamans, mystics, and visionaries have claimed to tap into this deeper mind. In trance or vision, they return with knowledge they never learned, myths, rituals, even insights about nature. Were they delusional, or were they touching the same ocean of images that we all share? Jung believed they were dipping into the collective unconscious, bringing back fragments of wisdom that belonged to humanity itself. That is why their visions still resonate. When a shaman speaks of a world tree, when a mystic describes a divine union, you recognize it, even if you cannot explain why. The collective unconscious is not just psychological, it feels spiritual. It makes you wonder whether consciousness itself is not isolated in individual brains, but woven into a larger field. Dreams, myths, and archetypes could be the language of that field, whispering truths across time. This is why you can read an ancient myth and feel it speaking directly to you. It is why a dream image can haunt you for years. You are not just interpreting your personal mind. You are interpreting the human mind. The labyrinth is the perfect metaphor. Each of us walks through corridors of our own making, careers, relationships, choices. But beneath that personal labyrinth is another, shared by all. Every turn you take, every chamber you enter, is lined with images humanity has always known. When you face a shadow in a dream, you are walking the same path countless others walked. When you meet the wise old man or woman, you are meeting the archetype of the sage, a guide as old as storytelling itself. You may think you are dreaming alone, but you are not. The labyrinth connects us all. Why does this matter? Because without awareness, you are ruled by forces you do not understand. You mistake symbols for reality. You chase fantasies that are projections of your anima or animus. You fall under the spell of collective archetypes. Nations worship heroes who become tyrants. Societies project their shadows onto outsiders. The collective unconscious is always operating, whether you know it or not. Awareness is the only defense. Awareness transforms the labyrinth from a prison into a path. Every night you dream, you are given a chance to walk the labyrinth consciously, to see the images for what they are, guides, warnings, mirrors. The dream of falling may mean you are clinging too tightly to control. The dream of being chased may mean you are denying something vital in yourself. The dream of light and darkness may mean hope is still alive. If you listen, the collective unconscious teaches. It pushes you toward wholeness, toward integration, but it requires courage, because the lessons are never gentle. The truth is that you are not a separate mind. Beneath the surface, you are connected to something vast, something ancient. The collective unconscious is the memory of the species, the story of humanity written in images instead of words. It does not belong to you alone, but you belong to it. And every time you dream, every time you resonate with a myth, every time you feel the strange pull of a symbol, you are hearing its voice. If you dare to walk deeper, you will find that the labyrinth is not only inside you, it is inside everyone. And the mind you thought was yours alone is, in fact, the mind we all share. To accept this is to accept that you are part of something larger, older, and infinitely more mysterious than yourself. And once you see that truth, you will never dream the same way again.